Hi, my name is Shelley Rizito. I'm the Executive Director of Instructional Technology and Professional Development for the Monticello Central School District. I thought I would take a moment to explain some of the questions that Kim Laurie had talked to me about today on the phone. I thought it would be easier to use some of the technology to show you how you can gain experience and information from other people and colleagues towards the common goal. The question was, how has it helped and hurt the curriculum as far as technology goes? Well, that was a really interesting question. I had to think about it for a long time. And the big question that I came out with is, do we really have time? Because a lot of people really think of this as, oh, I have to do something extra. I have to add something to my plate. Well, in my opinion is we can't afford not to make the time to be able to do this, because technology is really the new foundation that everything is going to be built on. I really feel that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but it's those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And we used to talk about lifelong learners years ago, and it's funny that that expression is probably 20 or 30 years old, but we're really talking about the same thing. Many of our students will have, you've heard, 15 to 20 jobs in their career, and it's important for us to always be able to retool what we know and we're able to do. And if we don't use those tools in school in a K-12 environment, we're really not providing our students with the toolbox that they need to be successful. So technology really isn't new. It's now necessary. It is the foundation that we build everything on. So has it helped? It has definitely become much more relevant. I thought this was an interesting graphic here that talks about the challenge that we face. We're being hit by technology from every single angle. It's almost like being in a battle with our devices, and that's why it's got to become a part of our students' lives. These are for students that are in impoverished situations where they don't have a lot of resources, along with students that do have a lot of resources that need to learn how to navigate through all that. So, what does it look like? This Wordle really kind of explains what it looks like. It's meaningful, it's project-based, again, interactive, collaborative, challenging, and for most of you that have been in this industry for a long time, these words are not new. The difference is that we've been trying to create an environment to do this, teaching the same way we've been doing for years and years and years. I've been an educator for over 30 years, and I am still talking about the same thing. The thing that will set us free is the ability for school districts to ramp up their infrastructure, which they currently are, and the state is telling us through the PARCC assessments we need to. This will give us the impetus to be able to move forward with these initiatives. All stakeholders need to be involved. Kim Laurie had asked me a question about how we're going to pay for this. If everybody is involved, then all of the resources can work collectively. How do you do that? Well, it's really important to go mobile. Everything we do, every decision that we make needs to be for a mobile environment. If it isn't, then we need to really rethink it. We can start instructionally with professional development, provide the tools that everybody needs to get going. And we have to think about this as instructional shifts. Many of us are involved in the Common Core shifts. We have instructional shifts as well that are going to meet the needs of the Common Core. That's, some of you have heard about the flipped classroom that I'll talk about in a minute. 24/7 learning. When we talk about not having time, we have to leverage all of our colleagues, all of the experts in the field, anybody we can find to provide instruction or some kind of collaborative learning environment for students at a much longer period of time than the 45 minutes to 50 minutes they have in school. And we also have to build a more of a global perspective. Again, it's not new, but are we really connecting with people all over the world and sharing in their expertise so we build perspective? Let me give you some examples. I just talked about, can you accomplish this in 45-minute chunks? Probably not. How can you be reflective in your teaching practice and really think about how you're teaching and how do you shift the way you teach and provide instruction or develop collaborative environments? We have to really reformat our instruction and build systems to accommodate the 21st century learner. For example, we use a program called Schoology. It looks very much like Facebook. All of the teachers' courses are listed in here, and the teachers have collaborative learning environments where students can access video, and they can access each other for work at night. We have quite a few groups that the students are developing. For example, I have one group of students that are acting as a country as they study World War I. And when they study World War I, resources will be placed in their primary source documents will be put into our resource section in the groups, and then students will check those resources and start to act as that country as they discuss the reasons why they would or wouldn't get into war. But what's going to be really cool about it is many adults and perhaps the Museum of Natural History and some other organizations will get involved in those discussions that are really going to lend themselves to deeper meaning, more conversation, and more writing, which is really what we want to have happen. So we are using the flipped classroom here, and again, if you look at leveraging all of your resources, you look at the Schoology environment, you can actually create video at night so students can learn at night. And during the day, that's when they become collaborative. They ask questions, they work with students, they work in teams, and they can actually do projects. Many teachers complain that they don't have time to do projects because they're doing so much teaching. So let's have the teaching happen at another time. This one particular teacher that's totally flipped is using QR codes everywhere, and the students are actually sharing their work via QR codes. Some of my elementary students are bringing their work home and they're sharing it, their work via QR codes. We are building a curriculum next year where we'll be connecting our students with some of the Vietnam war veterans, and that's another thing where connections are very important. So the Common Core is designed to pull us along. I really feel that this has been something that has been talked about for many years, but now it's really being articulated. So I wanted to show you quickly, if you go to Engage New York, on page 2, you just talk a little bit about the key considerations. And you can see how technology, if that's the infrastructure or the foundation, you almost don't even have to think about the Common Core. So it's going to be so natural. So if we look at research and media skills blended into the standards as a whole, students are going to be required to gather, comprehend, evaluate, and synthesize information. Well, the information that they're going to be seeking can be in libraries, but we want to start moving towards more e-books. We want to really understand what the internet can provide, primary source documents. Everything resides in this amazing plethora of information, and navigating it is going to be critical. Shared responsibilities for students' literacy development is an easy one. Now, social studies and science are going to be working with students to become more information literate, but having the information at their fingertips in their classrooms, like we do in our science classrooms, for example. They're a totally bring-your-own-device environment. Students can immediately look up information, and as they look up information, they have a deeper understanding of what they're studying in their science class. That lends itself to more close reading. If you continue down, I'm going to move to page 5. So we can talk about some of the key considerations for becoming college and career ready. To demonstrate independence, putting students in an online environment such as Schoology, they do have to be independent, because the 45 minutes that the teacher is teaching is going to occur at another time. Their independence can lend themselves to, I want to replay the video, I want to connect with my colleagues or collaborate with other students. They can scaffold their own learning by going back and looking at some of the archived information the teacher has placed there. So they become independent just based on how the information is presented to them. They build strong content knowledge, and giving them the skills to become more information literate gives them the tools to know how to find that content. They comprehend as well as critique within Schoology. We can do blogs. Students can start to comment on each other's posts. But one of the biggest ones that I find is the digital media is obvious, is they come to understand other perspectives and cultures. One of the things that we've noticed here is that with our students not doing a lot of traveling, perspective is very different and very difficult. So students can gain perspective by being in collaborative environments discussing very relevant issues. One of the issues that we discussed in this area was gaming, and one of our school districts in Rockland County asked to connect to us because Monticello is an area that has the Monticello Raceway and other gaming is being considered, and they asked to connect to us. Well, the perspective here in terms of our economic viability, the economic viability of gaming is going to be a lot different to someone that might be in Rockland County that might not understand those kinds of benefits or lack of benefits. We have connected to Native Americans in New Mexico, where we have done some cultural studies, where we did a holiday dinner, but instead of doing a holiday dinner where we just shared what we were doing, we had some very in-depth conversations about why our families cooked what we did. And we did that with the Native Americans in New Mexico. Reading complexity is huge, and the students that read more will get more involved in complex text. And if we go down to page 17, I wanted to show you another component that I thought was important. I'm just going to scroll down here. Just to give you a very quick example, number 9, integration of knowledge and ideas, compare and contrast two or more versions of the same story. We've been connecting with some of the European countries, and if you think about Cinderella as a story, just imagine what it would be like to write a story or share a story that is told in a country much differently, and then to talk about what those differences are. And when students talk to students and kids talk to kids, it really is a lot more valuable. If we go down to page 76, I had another example of it's way down here. Anchors for writing. And I thought that writing arguments and also producing and publishing is very important. So if we talk about authors' differing points of views and really understanding an argument, if we can collaborate with people outside, those arguments are going to become more meaningful because we're taking into consideration people's cultural and even physical boundaries, where they live, what it's like. And of course, the producing and publishing, students really need to be very thoughtful in how they do that. So I hope that this has helped you a little bit in understanding some of the questions that Kim Laurie had asked me. And if you have any other questions, I'm always available to help out. So thanks for listening.